That is what you deserve." Those words still echo in my ears, a sound that refuses to fade. My name is Zenobia Washington. I am 59 years old. And this is the story I kept locked in silence for months, until the silence itself became unbearable. That night at my son Orion's wedding reception, his new mother-in-law, Serafina, threw a bowl of piping hot gumbo directly into my face. I felt the searing heat pierce my skin, the spices burning my eyes, the thick broth dripping down my ivory silk blouse. But what burned me more than the soup was the smile. That calm, almost satisfied smile she wore as she looked at me with narrowed eyes, as if she had just done something she had been waiting to do for years. "That is what you deserve," she repeated with a firm voice, lifting her chin. The banquet hall fell silent. Every guest looked down at their plates. No one moved. No one said a word except for my son Orion, my only child, the boy I raised alone after his father abandoned us, the man to whom I gave everything I had. He sat there at the head table, arms crossed, and said in a deep voice, "She's right, Mama." I felt the floor open up beneath my feet. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't ask why. I simply took the linen napkin from my lap, wiped my burning face with all the dignity I had left, and stood up from my chair without making a sound. I walked toward the double doors with my back straight, even though inside every part of me was trembling. But before I left that building, I did something no one expected. I took my cell phone out of my clutch, dialed a number I had saved weeks ago, and said just 3 words. "It is time." Then I hung up. I closed the door softly behind me. No one followed me. No one asked anything. Got into my car, started the engine. And as I drove through the dark streets of Buckhead, back toward my quiet apartment in the West End, a single question spun in my head. How did I get here? Because there was a time when Orion would hug me and say, "You're my hero, Mama." There was a time when I believed a son's love was forever. There was a time when I trusted. But that night, with my face burning and my heart broken, I understood something I never thought I'd have to learn. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who betray us the deepest. And sometimes silence is the only weapon we have left. What happened after that phone call is something they will never forget. But to understand why I did what I did, I must first tell you how it all started. How a mother who gave everything ended up humiliated in front of a room full of strangers. And how I discovered too late that my son was keeping a secret that would change everything. Sometimes we trust the wrong people too much. Have you ever been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read it. 3 years ago, my life was different. Not perfect, but mine. I lived in a spacious apartment in the West End of Atlanta, with a balcony full of red geraniums and bougainvillea that I watered myself every morning. I had my routine: strong brewed coffee at 7, sweet potato pastries from Mr. Henderson's bakery on the corner. And then I would open my small fine tailoring shop on the ground floor of the building. I wasn't rich, but I didn't need to be. After Orion's father left us, when my son was barely 5 years old, I learned something that many women take decades to understand. That one can sustain an entire life with her own 2 hands without asking anyone for permission. I sewed wedding gowns, prom dresses, and embroidered blouses for church ladies who wanted to look elegant without shouting about their money. My hands knew every stitch, every hem, every secret a fabric keeps when you treat it with patience. Orion grew up seeing that. He saw me get up at 5 in the morning to finish an order. He saw me sew until my fingers bled. He saw me cry from exhaustion over the Singer machine that had belonged to my grandmother and then dry my tears and keep going. "Mama, when I grow up, I'm going to work hard so you can rest," he would tell me with his big, serious eyes while I made him breakfast before school. And I believed him because Orion was always a good boy, responsible, affectionate, studied without me having to ask, got good grades. On Sundays, he helped me clean the shop and asked me things about fabrics, about colors, about how I knew which dress each client needed. "Because I listened to them, baby," I would tell him. "People always tell you what they need, even if they don't use words." He would nod thoughtfully and then go play basketball with the neighborhood kids. When he turned 18 and went to study business administration at Morehouse College, I felt that every sacrifice had been worth it. My son was going to have what I never had: a career, a degree, a future without back pain or numb fingers, or worked double, triple shifts. I sewed dresses for weddings of families who would never invite me to their tables, but who paid well. I saved every dollar, denied myself help, denied myself loans, because I wanted Orion to finish college without owing anyone anything, and he did. He graduated with honors, got a job at a top real estate firm, started earning well, wearing suits that I tailored for him myself, bringing me flowers every Sunday when he came for lunch. "Thank you, Mama," he would say, kissing my forehead. "Everything I am is because of you." And I felt complete until he met Clementina. The first time Orion talked to me about her, I noticed something different in his voice. A new emotion, a shine in his eyes I had never seen. "She's special, Mama. Very special." Clementina was the only daughter of a wealthy family from Buckhead. Her father owned a chain of hardware supply stores. Her mother, Serafina, was one of those women who had never worked a day in her life, but knew how to give orders like a general. When Orion told me he wanted to introduce me to her, I put on my best dress, the navy blue one, with embroidery on the collar that I had made for a distant cousin's wedding. I fixed my hair, put on the pearl earrings that had been my mother's. I wanted to make a good impression. The meeting was at a restaurant in Buckhead that I would never have chosen. It was too elegant, too expensive. But Orion insisted, "I want you to get to know each other well. Clementina is important to me." Clementina arrived in an impeccable white dress and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was pretty polite, but cold. We talked about unimportant things. The weather, her career in interior design, the wedding plans she was already imagining, even though she and Orion had only been dating for 6 months. I smiled, nodded, asked all the right questions. But something in my stomach twisted when she said, "My mother is anxious to meet you, Miss Zenobia. I've told her so much about you." The way she said Mrs. Zenobia sounded strange, as if my name needed a title to exist in her world. Orion took my hand and squeezed it, as if telling me, "Everything is going to be fine, Mama." And I wanted to believe him because back then, I still believed that a son's love was stronger than anything else. I still believed that what we had built together, just the two of us, for so many years, was unbreakable. I didn't know yet that some women view other women as enemies from the very first moment. And I didn't know yet that Serafina had already decided, long before meeting me, that I wasn't enough for her family. That afternoon, when we left the restaurant, Orion hugged me tight and said, "Clementina adored you, Mama." He told me this in the car. I smiled. But deep down a small, cold voice whispered something I didn't want to hear. "That girl is lying, and Serafina is too." 3 months later, they invited me to dinner at their house. That was when everything started to crack. Serafina's house in Buckhead was exactly as I imagined. Massive, cold, and full of things nobody needs. Crystal chandeliers, Persian rugs, oil paintings, and gold frames. Furniture that looked like it came straight out of a decor magazine, so perfect it was scary to dirty it just by looking. When Orion and I arrived that night, Serafina received us at the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes,